Welcome to cognitive restructuring, or changing your thoughts to change your actions. So, in this lesson, we're going to learn to make changes on some of those thinking errors that we use. In the thinking errors lesson, when I talked about, hey, let's just focus on understanding those negative thoughts that we have, the rationalizations, the justifications, and then later we're going to learn how to change those thoughts. Well, this is that lesson. So again, this is called cognitive restructuring, um, cognitive reframing. This is your classic cognitive behavioral therapy model. And what I did is I, again, took it and I very much simplified it so that you can use this day by day and actually be able to recall these skills in your head. So I call this the 3 C's, or the catch, challenge, and change method. Very simple, again, distilled it down so it's really easy to work through. So, what we need to know is you first must feel and think before you act. So the very first step is the catch. Okay, recognize the hot thought. Again, go back to those thinking errors and also go back to that written assignment I gave you, that sheet of the thinking errors. If there were some on there that were not included in the common anxiety thinking errors that we went through in the lesson, then understand that you're going to have to recall these in those moments. So basically, you're going through your day, something frustrating happens to you, and then you automatically catastrophize. Oh man, that thing always happens to me. Every single time I go to get in line to check out at the grocery store, the line's massive. Why am I so unfortunate? Why am I so unlucky? Okay, that is catastrophizing. So, what the first thing you want to do is catch that thought, recognize, okay, here's that hot thought again, believing that I'm a victim, that somehow I am uniquely special and having bad luck. Okay, so this is the catch. Recognize the negative thought. It's just that simple. The negative thought that automatically hits you. Okay, so this will take us to the next step. So now that we recognize the thought, we want to now challenge the thought. Okay, so what is the negative self-talk around that? So for instance, again, every time I go to the grocery store, there's always long lines. I always have horrible luck. So the negative talk is the belief that you have horrible luck, the belief that bad things always happen to you, that you always pick the wrong time to go to the store, and that somehow the grocery gods are against you. All right. So in the challenge, you would challenge this belief. So you would say to yourself, is it a reality that I somehow always pick the wrong time? No. Is it busy? And are there long lines because I usually go to the store after work around 5, 6 o'clock, which is when everybody's there? Yeah, that's probably it. Is this the worst thing in the world? No. And then the classic self-talk, which a lot of us probably learned when we were younger from our parents, is this going to matter 5 years from now? So you tell yourself this, okay? You really challenge that belief that this is the worst thing in the world and that somehow this is extremely negative and damaging. Okay, so again, use rational thinking, all right? And I also want you to think about this as the scientist method. When we think about what scientists do, and what do scientists do? They go and they try to come to their hypothesis, what they believe the outcome will be. And what do? They repeat a behavior, all right? They repeat a scientific process over and over and over again. Now, scientists don't look at that as a failure. We've heard the classic story of Edison, who, how many thousands of light bulbs did he attempt before he finally was able to make the one that worked, right? This, when you learn from those mistakes, okay, then you're just being a scientist, all right? Know that you're going to make mistakes until you get better at something. So I like to call this a scientist method to be able to make us recognize that, hey, I'm supposed to be making mistakes, and that's okay. There's also one thing that I often like to share with people who are thinking in this negative way, okay, is learn to fail fast. So when you make a mistake, don't dwell on it. Move on quick. And the quicker you move on, the more success you're going to have. This is kind of your basic probabilities. I once heard this story about this girl and her mom who decided, yeah, one summer day they're going to open a lemonade stand. And this girl went out there and she tried to sell some lemonade, and had a few people tell her no on the corner of the street, and she got a little bit frustrated. So she went to her mom and said, people are telling me no. And luckily this mom, she understood the scientist method. She said, you know what? Let's go count how many no's we have until we get a sale. And so they went out and they discovered that about every 15 no's, they would get a yes. And so they basically turned into this mathematical equation. They use rational thinking. And so they just basically said, all right, so every 15 no's, we know after that we're going to get a sale. And of course, that wasn't exactly how it worked out, but that was about it. So therefore, they looked at the rejection as an opportunity to get that yes. And of course, had this amazing lemonade sale. All right, the third step is change. Okay, let's do this with action. All right, so again, the first one is catch. We recognize that we're having this negative thought. In this scenario that we're talking about, the belief that somehow you have bad luck, that you're always at the grocery store at the wrong time, and that somehow everybody follows you and you have all this bad luck because there's always lines. Okay, so you catch that negative thought. Okay, the catastrophizing. We recognize, yeah, that's one of my thinking errors. All right, then again, the challenge is, challenge all the beliefs around that. Now the change is to do something different. All right, so what would you have done in the past? Maybe you would have mumbled to yourself. Maybe you would have even jumped lines trying to get in a quicker line. Maybe you would have just left your cart, stomped and stormed out of the grocery store. Or again, maybe it would just be, you would just sit and dwell in all your negativity and not try to do something positive with the time that you have while you're in line. So do something different. Maybe decide at that point, hey, this would be a good opportunity for me to be able to catch up on my emails on my phone. Or maybe this be a wonderful time to talk to the person next to me in line and get to know somebody. So do something different. That is the change. All right, practice makes perfect. Make yourself a reminder. Now, what I find, people will say, well, gosh, Jeff, that's pretty simple. That's pretty easy. And it is. What is difficult is to remind yourself to do this. And again, kept it really simple, calling it, again, the 3 C's. So what I want you to do, whether it be putting a sticky note on the dash of your car, putting a little piece of paper in the corner of your mirror in your bathroom, putting a reminder in your phone, setting an alarm so it goes off 3 times a day, to remind yourself to do the 3 C's, to catch, challenge, and change those negative thoughts. This will change and shape your behavior. You have to be consistent. You have to continue. Now, again, recognize this is shaping behavior. Think about a rock in the river, right? If you threw a rough rock in the river, eventually over time, that constant flowing of water over will change that rough rock into something smooth. You need to think about it this way with yourself. Again, that scientific method, you need to recognize it's going to take a while for behavior to change, but if you're consistent, it eventually will. Thank you for participating in this lesson, and please continue to the next.